Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation Navy stared at the tactical display with growing confusion. The small blue-green planet designated as Sol 3 had been flagged in their databases as a primitive world, barely past nuclear technology. Yet the energy signatures emanating from their solar system suggested something far more advanced than their intelligence reports indicated. The bridge of the cruiser Harmony's Edge hummed with quiet efficiency as various alien species worked together at their stations. Zixtal, a tall reptilian saurian with scales that shifted from green to blue when stressed, watched as his communications officer, a spider-like arachnid named Kliktar, manipulated multiple holographic interfaces with her 8 limbs. "Sir, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the Sol system," Kliktar reported, her mandibles clicking nervously. "The signals are unusual. They appear to be entertainment broadcasts, but the content is disturbing." Zixtal's scales darkened to a deep blue. "Disturbing how?" "They show beings engaged in ritualistic combat, explosions that level entire city blocks for entertainment, and what appears to be competitive destruction of vehicles at high speeds. The creatures seem to derive pleasure from witnessing violence and chaos." The ship's science officer, a crystalline being called Harmonytone whose body resonated with different musical notes when excited, chimed in with a discordant sound. "Commander, I've been analyzing their historical transmissions. These humans have a documented history of near-constant warfare spanning millennia. They've created weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over, yet they continue to exist." Zixtal felt his blood run cold. In galactic civilization, species that survived such self-destructive tendencies were rare and, typically classified as extremely dangerous. "What's their current military status?" "Unknown, sir," replied the tactical officer, a gaseous being contained within an environmental suit. "However, our long-range scans detected massive orbital installations around their planet and several moons. The energy outputs suggest weapons of immense power." The commander's mind raced. The Confederation had protocols for dealing with potential Deathworld species. These humans had all the markers: surviving a hostile planet, constant warfare, advanced weapons technology, and apparent enjoyment of violence. They were textbook Deathworlders. "Sir," Kliktar interrupted his thoughts, "we're receiving what appears to be a greeting transmission from Earth." "Should I put it through?" "Do it," Zixtal commanded, straightening his posture. The main screen flickered to life, showing a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. She had short brown hair and sharp eyes that seemed to assess everything they looked at. Behind her, other humans in similar uniforms moved with purpose across what looked like a command center. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You've entered our solar system without authorization. State your intentions immediately." Zixtal noticed how the human's voice carried an undertone of barely controlled aggression. Her species' reputation preceded them. "Admiral Chen, I am Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace, seeking to make first contact with your species." The human's expression didn't change, but Zixtal caught something in her eyes that made his scales ripple with unease. "First contact? Commander, we've been monitoring your communications for the past 6 hours. We know you've been discussing our Deathworld status and containment protocols." The bridge fell silent. Harmonytone's crystalline body went completely quiet, while Kliktar's 8 eyes focused intently on the screen. How had they decrypted Confederation communication codes so quickly? "Admiral, there seems to be a misunderstanding," Zixtal began carefully. "The Confederation has protocols for integrating new species integration?" Admiral Chen's voice carried a dangerous edge. "Commander, we're well aware of what happens to species classified as Deathworlders in your Confederation. Forced relocation, military conscription, or elimination if deemed too dangerous. We've been listening to your broadcasts for decades." Zixtal's scales now showed rapid color changes from blue to green to deep purple. "Admiral, I assure you, the Confederation seeks peaceful." "Commander," Chen interrupted, her tone becoming icily professional, "let me clarify something for you. Humans don't particularly enjoy being threatened, studied like lab specimens, or treated as potential weapons. We've had time to prepare for this moment." On the tactical display, new contacts began appearing around the Confederation ship. Zixtal's tactical officer's gaseous form swirled frantically. "Sir! Multiple contacts decloaking. I count 50, no, 75 ships of unknown configuration." Admiral Chen's image smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Those are just the ones we want you to see, Commander. Earth has been expecting visitors for quite some time. We've had decades to prepare, and we've been busy. The ships surrounding them defied easy classification. They appeared to blend organic curves with angular geometric designs, suggesting technology that had evolved differently from Confederation standards. Energy readings indicated power levels that matched or exceeded the Confederation's most advanced vessels. How? Zixtal whispered, more to himself than anyone else. How did we advance so quickly? Shen seemed to read his thoughts. Commander, you've made a fundamental error about humans. We don't just enjoy violence and chaos for entertainment. We excel at adaptation, innovation, and survival. When we realized we weren't alone in the universe, we did what humans do best, we prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Kliktar's voice came out as barely more than a whisper. Sir, I'm detecting weapon locks from multiple vessels. Their targeting systems are incredibly sophisticated. Admiral Chen, Zixtal tried to regain control of the situation. Surely we can discuss this diplomatically. The Confederation has much to offer humanity. Oh, we're going to discuss it, Chen replied, her smile becoming even more unsettling. But, first, Commander, you're going to explain to your superiors that Earth isn't some primitive backwater ready for exploitation. We're the species that survived an ice age, multiple extinction events, and our own tendency toward self-destruction. We've turned our planet's hostile environment into an advantage. The bridge crew watched in growing horror as more human ships appeared on their sensors. Each one seemed different from the last, suggesting rapid technological innovation and diverse military thinking. Furthermore, Admiral Chen continued, you're going to tell them that humanity is interested in joining galactic civilization, but as equals, not as subjugated Deathworlders. We have something your Confederation lacks, the experience of surviving on a world that actively tries to kill its inhabitants every single day. Harmonytone finally managed a weak, discordant note. Sir, their weapons technology appears to be based on principles we don't recognize. It's as if they've taken an entirely different approach to military science. That's because we have, Chen said, apparently able to hear their bridge conversations. When you grow up on a planet where hurricanes can level cities, where earthquakes can split continents, where diseases can kill millions, and where predators evolve specifically to hunt you, you learn to think differently about survival and warfare. Zixtal realized with growing dread that the Confederation had made a catastrophic miscalculation. They hadn't encountered a primitive species ready for guidance and control. They had found a species that had been forged in the crucible of a hostile world and emerged stronger for it. What do you want? He asked quietly. Simple, Admiral Chen replied. We want a seat at the table. We want recognition as a sovereign species. And we want to show the galaxy what humans can contribute when we're treated as partners rather than threats to be contained. The commander looked around his bridge at his crew's terrified faces. In trying to assess and possibly contain a dangerous Deathworld species, they had instead awakened something that might reshape the entire galactic balance of power. I need to contact my superiors, Zixtal managed. You do that, Commander, Chen said with that same unsettling smile. But, remember, we'll be listening. We're very good at listening. And, we're even better at learning from what we hear. The transmission ended, leaving the Confederation crew in stunned silence, surrounded by an armada that had appeared from nowhere and commanded by beings who had just politely but firmly informed them that the galaxy was about to change forever. 3 days had passed since Commander Zixtal's fateful encounter with the human fleet, and the emergency session of the Galactic Confederation Council was unlike anything in the organization's 1,000-year history. Representatives from 47 different species filled the vast circular chamber on Confederation Prime, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of sounds, lights, and chemical signals that the translation matrix struggled to process. High Chancellor Vorthak, an ancient gas giant native whose consciousness existed as organized electromagnetic patterns within a containment field, pulsed with agitated energy at the center of the chamber. Around him, the council members displayed various forms of distress. The crystalline harmonites resonated with discordant frequencies, the plaid-like Verdani wilted visibly, and the aquatic depths dwellers' tanks bubbled furiously. Order! Vorthak's voice echoed through every translator in the chamber. We will address this crisis with the dignity befitting our civilization. Commander Zixtal, present your full report. Zixtal stood at the central podium, his scales still showing stress patterns after 3 sleepless days. Honorable Chancellor, esteemed council members, I must report that we have encountered a species unlike any in our databases. The humans of Sol 3 have achieved technological parity with Confederation standards while maintaining their Deathworld characteristics. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. Councillor Trillana of the Harmonites chimed with alarm. Commander, surely you exaggerate. No species maintains Deathworld aggression while achieving advanced technology. It's evolutionary impossible. I respectfully disagree, Councillor, Zixtal replied, activating the holographic display. Observe. The chamber filled with images from human entertainment broadcasts, massive explosions from something called action movies, gladiatorial contests they called sports, and simulated warfare they termed video games. But these were followed by footage of human achievements, orbital cities, terraforming projects on Mars, and ships that move through space with grace and deadly efficiency. They have weaponized their entertainment, gasped Councillor Mikoria of the Fungal Collective, her spores releasing stress pheromones. This suggests a species that has never left its combat-ready state. Moreover, Zixtal continued, they demonstrated tactical capabilities that suggest they have been preparing for contact for decades. Their Admiral Chen knew our protocols, our classification systems, and our communication methods before we even established formal contact. High Chancellor Vorthak's electromagnetic field flickered with what observers recognized as deep thought. Show us the fleet composition data. The hologram shifted to display the human armada that had surrounded Zixtal's ship. Each vessel was unique, ranging from sleek interceptors the size of Confederation fighters to massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in the Confederation Navy. Most disturbing was the variety, no two ships appeared to use the same design philosophy. Councillor Brackthorn of the warrior clans, a massive insectoid being whose species prided itself on military prowess, clicked his mandibles in what his people considered thoughtful analysis. This diversity suggests multiple independent military development programs working simultaneously. Only a species constantly preparing for war would develop such varied approaches to ship design. That's not the most concerning aspect, Zixtal added grimly. Our analysis suggests these ships were constructed recently, within the past 20 to 30 years. Their rate of technological development is unprecedented. The chamber erupted in shocked communications. Species that had taken centuries to develop faster than light travel were confronted with evidence of beings who had apparently achieved comparable technology in mere decades. How is such acceleration possible? Demanded Councillor Weavare of the Academic Collective, her multiple brain lobes pulsing with confused patterns. According to their transmissions, Zixtal explained, humans have a concept they called necessity breeding innovation. They claim that constant exposure to survival pressure creates rapid adaptive responses. Their entire planet appears to be a continuous testing ground for survival strategies. High Chancellor Vorthak's field stabilized into what experienced observers recognized as decision-making mode. What are their stated intentions toward the Confederation? Admiral Chan requested equal partnership status and representation on this very council. She emphasized that humanity seeks cooperation but will not accept subjugation or classification as a client species. The chamber fell silent. In the Confederation's entire history, no newly contacted species had ever made such demands. Protocol dictated a careful integration process spanning decades, beginning with observer status and gradually advancing through various levels of membership. Councillor Nimtar of the Trade Federation, whose people valued efficiency above all else, spoke with characteristic bluntness. The economic implications are staggering. If their rate of development continues, they could dominate interstellar commerce within a generation. The military implications are worse, added Brackthorn. A species that considers warfare entertainment and has survived on a death world represents a threat to galactic stability. Perhaps, interjected a new voice from the chamber's upper levels, we should consider why they've made such rapid progress. All attention turned to Councillor Zendel of the Observers, an ancient species known for their philosophical approach to galactic affairs. The Observers rarely spoke during council sessions, making their participation significant. Explain, Councillor Zenda, Vorthak requested. The Observer's ethereal form drifted closer to the center of the chamber. We have monitored hundreds of species development over millennia. Rapid technological advancement occurs under specific conditions: external threat, resource scarcity, or environmental pressure. Earth provides all three constantly. Your point being, prompted Vorthak. Humans didn't develop advanced technology despite being from a death world. They developed it because they're from a death world. Their environment demanded innovation for survival. When they realized they were not alone in the universe, they applied those same survival instincts to preparing for contact. The implications of Zenda's words settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. If the observer was correct, humanity represented something unprecedented, a species shaped by adversity into perfect galactic citizens, possessing both the technological capability and the survival instincts necessary for interstellar civilization. There's more, Zixtal added reluctantly. During our encounter, Admiral Chen mentioned that humans had been monitoring Confederation communications for decades. They know our military capabilities, our political structure, and our standard first contact procedures. Brackthorn's compound eyes focused intently. Are you suggesting they've been gathering intelligence for a potential conflict? No, Counselor, Zixtal replied. I believe they've been preparing for negotiation from a position of strength. Everything about their approach suggests they want partnership, not conquest, but they refuse to negotiate from weakness. High Chancellor Vorthak's electromagnetic field pulsed with what observers recognized as grudging respect. A species that prepares thoroughly before making demands. This is not the behavior of typical Deathworlders. Because they're not typical Deathworlders, Zenli observed. They're evolved Deathworlders. They've retained the beneficial aspects of their hostile environment while developing the intellectual capacity to transcend its limitations. The chamber buzzed with discussion as representatives debated the implications. Some species saw opportunity in partnership with such innovative beings. Others feared the disruption of the carefully balanced galactic order. Counselor Trilana's harmonics turned contemplative. What if we refuse their request for equal status? Zixtal's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a deep purple that indicated extreme concern. Based on their demonstrated capabilities and their admiral's demeanor, I believe refusal would result in humanity developing as an independent galactic power. They've shown they can match our technology and exceed our tactical thinking. Without Confederation guidance, they might become unpredictable. And if we grant their request, asked Mikoria. Then, we gain access to their innovations and their unique perspective on survival and adaptation, Zenla replied. But, we also change the fundamental nature of our Confederation. Humans won't simply adopt our ways. They'll challenge our assumptions and push us to evolve. High Chancellor Vorthak's field expanded as he processed the full scope of their situation. The Confederation had always prided itself on bringing order to chaos, on guiding younger species toward peaceful coexistence. Now they faced beings who had achieved peace through strength, cooperation through competition, and advancement through adversity. The question before us, Vorthak announced, is whether we're prepared to evolve alongside them. In the silence that followed, every representative contemplated the same unsettling truth. First contact with humanity had revealed not just a new species, but a mirror reflecting the Confederation's own limitations. The humans weren't asking permission to join galactic civilization. They were offering to help build something better. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the UES Indomitable, humanity's newest flagship, watching the swirling hyperspace tunnel that would deliver them to Confederation Prime in less than 6 hours. Behind her, the ship hummed with activity as her crew prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. The past 2 weeks had been a whirlwind of preparation following the Confederation Council's unprecedented decision to grant humanity observer status and invite them to present their case for full membership. Chen had been chosen to lead the delegation not only for her military experience but for her background in xenocultural studies and her role in developing Earth's first contact protocols. Admiral, came a voice from behind her. Chen turned to see Dr. Marcus Webb, humanity's leading expert on galactic politics and her primary advisor for the mission. The final intelligence briefings are ready for your review. Chen nodded, following Webb to the conference room where the rest of her team waited. The group represented the best of humanity, Dr. Priya Sharma, a quantum physicist whose work had revolutionized human faster-than-light technology, Colonel James Morrison, a military strategist who had developed many of Earth's defensive innovations, Dr. Amara Okafor, a sociologist specializing in multi-species interaction, and Captain Lu Wei, their pilot and engineering specialist. Let's review what we know about the council members, Chen began, taking her seat at the head of the table. Dr. Okafor, start with the political dynamics. Dr. Okafor activated the holographic display, showing the circular council chamber. The Confederation operates on consensus building rather than majority vote. Each species has equal representation, but influence varies based on contribution to Confederation resources and perceived wisdom. High Chancellor Vorthak holds significant sway as a neutral mediator. The key players? Chen asked. Counselor Brackthorn represents the military faction. His species, the Kethai, are warriors who joined the Confederation after being defeated in a territorial expansion war 3 centuries ago. They've since become the Confederation's primary peacekeeping force. The hologram shifted to show an insectoid being with distinctive scarred carapace. Brackthorn is likely to test our military capabilities and intentions. He respects strength but fears unpredictability. Counselor Trillana leads the peaceful cooperation faction, Okafor continued. The Harmonites have never known warfare and believe conflict can always be resolved through understanding and compromise. They're naturally suspicious of any species with a combat history. Then, there's Counselor Zenda, Webb interjected. The Observers are the eldest species in the Confederation. They've witnessed the rise and fall of dozens of civilizations. If anyone understands our potential value, it's them. Chen studied the data carefully. What about potential opposition? Counselor Vorin of the Hegemony Worlds, Dr. Sharma replied, her tone indicating distaste. Their species believes in strict hierarchical order. They built their civilization on the concept that some species are naturally suited to rule while others should serve. Humans represent a direct challenge to their worldview. The Trade Federation, led by Counselor Nimtar, could go either way, Webb added. They're primarily concerned with economic stability. If they see humans as a threat to established trade routes and resource management, they'll oppose us. If they see opportunity, they'll support us. Chen absorbed the information, then stood and moved to the large display showing Earth and its surrounding space. What they don't understand yet is that we're not just seeking membership for humanity's benefit. We're offering something the Confederation desperately needs but doesn't realize it yet. Which is? Colonel Morrison asked. Perspective, Chen replied. Every species in the Confederation evolved on relatively benign worlds. They built their civilization on the assumption that peace is the natural state of affairs and that conflict is an aberration to be prevented at all costs. Dr. Sharma nodded thoughtfully. But peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the management of conflict through strength and preparedness. Exactly, Chen confirmed. The Confederation has been fortunate so far, but they're vulnerable to any threat they haven't anticipated. We've seen their historical records. Every major crisis they've faced has caught them completely unprepared because they can't conceive of truly hostile intentions. The team spent the next several hours reviewing tactical scenarios, cultural protocols, and contingency plans. As they worked, Chen found herself thinking about the broader implications of their mission. Admiral, Captain Liu said during a break, may I ask you something? Of course. Do you really think they'll accept us as equals? From their perspective, we must seem incredibly violent and unpredictable. Chen considered the question carefully. Liu, I think they're more afraid of their own assumptions being challenged than they are of our violence. The Confederation has built a civilization based on the idea that intelligent species naturally evolve toward peaceful cooperation. We prove that intelligence can take different paths. Some might see that as threatening, Dr. Okafor observed. Some will, Chen agreed. But the wiser ones will see it as an opportunity to strengthen their civilization. We're not asking them to become more violent. We're offering to help them become more resilient. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All hands, prepare for hyperspace exit. Arrival at Confederation Prime in 30 minutes. As the team gathered their materials, Chen felt the weight of representing not just humanity but a fundamentally different approach to civilization. The next few days would determine whether the galaxy was ready to accept that strength and peace weren't opposites but partners in ensuring survival. The hyperspace tunnel collapsed around them, revealing the magnificent sight of Confederation Prime, a massive space station built around a neutron star, its crystalline structures glowing with captured stellar radiation. Dozens of different ship designs filled the surrounding space, representing the architectural preferences of numerous species. Admiral, came the voice of their communications officer, were being hailed by Confederation traffic control. Put them through. The main screen displayed a being Chen recognized as an Emarian, their elongated head adorned with the sensory organs that allowed them to perceive electromagnetic fields. UES Indomitable, you are cleared for approach to Diplomatic Dock 7. Please maintain minimum velocity and follow the guidance beacons. Acknowledged, Control, Chen replied. We appreciate the hospitality. As the human ship approached the station, Chen noticed the subtle but unmistakable signs of increased security, additional patrol craft, enhanced scanning arrays, and what appeared to be weapons platforms discreetly positioned around their approach vector. They're nervous, Colonel Morrison observed quietly. Good, Chen replied. Nervous beings pay attention. Complacent ones miss important details. Dr. Webb joined them at the main viewport, watching as the station grew larger. Admiral, I've been thinking about our strategy. What if they ask for concessions we can't make? Chen smiled grimly. Then, we remind them that we came here as potential partners, not supplicants. Humanity has survived this long by adapting to challenges, not by avoiding them. If the Confederation can't adapt to us, that tells us everything we need to know about their long-term viability. The docking process proceeded smoothly, with Confederation engineers working alongside human crews to ensure proper atmospheric and gravitational compatibility. As Chen prepared to disembark, she reviewed her objectives one final time: demonstrate humanity's value as partners, challenge assumptions about peaceful coexistence, and establish Earth as an independent power capable of contributing to galactic civilization. Remember, she told her team as they gathered at the airlock, we're not here to beg for acceptance. We're here to offer something valuable to beings wise enough to recognize its worth. The airlock opened, revealing a delegation of Confederation officials led by Commander Zixtal himself. The Saurian scales showed curious patterns Chen didn't recognize from their previous encounter. Admiral Chen, Zixtal greeted formally, welcome to Confederation Prime. The Council awaits your presentation. Commander, Chen replied, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting, thank you for your hospitality. We're looking forward to a productive discussion. As they walked through the station's corridors, Chen observed the careful balance of architectural styles accommodating various species' needs. But she also noticed something else: the subtle signs of a civilization that had grown comfortable with its own assumptions about how the universe worked. That was about to change. The Confederation Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Chen stepped up to the central podium. Around her, 47 different species watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed hostility. The translation matrix hummed softly, preparing to convert her words into the myriad forms of communication used by the assembled beings. High Chancellor Vorthak's electromagnetic field pulsed with formal authority. Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, you have been granted the opportunity to address this council regarding humanity's request for full membership in the Galactic Confederation. Please present your case. Chen looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, sensors, and other sensory organs of beings whose ancestors had been building civilizations when humans were barely discovering fire. She felt the weight of representing not just her species, but an entirely different evolutionary path. Honored Chancellor, esteemed counselors, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics, I stand before you not to request membership, but to propose partnership. A ripple of surprise passed through the assembled representatives. Counselor Voron of the Hegemony Worlds, a tall, pale being with multiple arms arranged in hierarchical fashion, spoke with obvious disdain. Admiral, you seem to misunderstand your position. Newly contacted species do not propose terms to the Confederation. Chen smiled politely. Respectfully, Counselor, newly contacted species typically haven't been preparing for this moment for 60 years. She activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. In 1947, humans detected the first confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence when we intercepted fragments of Confederation communications. Since then, we've been learning your languages, studying your political structures, and preparing for this inevitable meeting. The hologram showed a timeline of human technological development alongside intercepted Confederation data. The correlation was unmistakable. Every major human advancement in the past 6 decades had been subtly influenced by glimpses of galactic civilization. Counselor Trilana's harmonics shifted to surprise. You've been monitoring our communications without authorization? We've been listening to broadcasts transmitted through our solar system, Chen corrected. We didn't hack your networks or violate your security. We simply proved that humans excel at learning from available information. Dr. Sharma stepped forward to address the technical aspects. Counselors, human rapid advancement wasn't random. We identify technologies essential for galactic participation and, focused our efforts accordingly. When you assume a species will require centuries of guidance, you underestimate their capacity for independent development. Counselor Blackthorn clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Your military preparations suggest you expected conflict, not cooperation. Chen nodded respectfully to the Keth AI warrior. Counselor, we prepared for all possibilities because that's what survivors do. But, notice what we prepared: defensive technologies, exploration capabilities, and diplomatic protocols. We built strength for protection, not conquest. Yet your species' history is filled with violence, accused Counselor McOria of the Fundal Collective. Our history is filled with adaptation, Chen replied firmly. Yes, humans have fought wars. We've also ended plagues, survived ice ages, tamed hostile environments, and turned our greatest challenges into our greatest strengths. Violence was never our goal, Counselor. Survival was. She gestured to the hologram, which now showed images of Earth, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, predatory animals, and disease outbreaks. Every Confederation species evolved on worlds that supported life. Earth actively tried to kill us. We didn't develop aggression for its own sake. We developed resilience, adaptability, and the ability to thrive under pressure. Counselor Zenda drifted closer to the center of the chamber. Admiral, what exactly are you proposing? A true partnership, Chen replied. The Confederation has achieved remarkable peace and stability by avoiding conflict. But, avoidance isn't the same as preparedness. You've built a civilization that assumes all intelligent species will naturally choose cooperation over competition. The chamber's attention focused entirely on her as she continued. But, what happens when you encounter a species that doesn't share those assumptions? What happens when you face beings who see cooperation as weakness and peace as an opportunity for exploitation? High Chancellor Vorthak's field flickered with interest. Are you suggesting such species exist? I'm stating that the universe is vast and hostile, Chen replied. Earth taught us that environments shape evolution in unexpected ways. Somewhere out there are species forged by conditions that make them view conquest as natural and submission as survival. The Confederation's peaceful assumptions make you vulnerable to beings who don't share your ethical framework. Dr. Okafor stepped forward to support Chen's argument. Counselors, we've studied your historical records. Every major crisis the Confederation has faced involved species or phenomena that didn't conform to your expectations. You've been fortunate that previous challenges were manageable through existing diplomatic frameworks. But, fortune isn't strategy, Colonel Morrison added. Humans offer something the Confederation has never possessed: experience in dealing with truly hostile environments and unpredictable adversaries. We've learned to expect the unexpected and prepare for scenarios others might consider impossible. Counselor Nimtar of the Trait Federation spoke for the first time. What practical benefits would humanity provide? Shin smiled, recognizing the question she'd been waiting for. Counselor, human innovation accelerates under pressure. In the past 20 years, knowing we weren't alone, we've developed technologies your species took centuries to achieve. Give us access to Confederation knowledge, and we'll push the boundaries of what's possible. The hologram shifted to show human technological innovations: gravity manipulation, quantum computing, bioengineering, and energy systems that defied conventional limitations. We don't just adopt existing technologies, counselors. We improve them, combine them in unexpected ways, and push them beyond their original limitations. More importantly, Dr. Sharma added, we think differently about problem solving. While Confederation species seek harmony and balance, humans excel at finding elegant solutions through controlled chaos. We test ideas by pushing them to failure, then building better versions. Counselor Voron's multiple arms gestured dismissively. Your approach sounds destructive and wasteful. Our approach is evolutionary, Chen replied calmly. Nothing in nature improves without pressure. We apply that pressure deliberately and learn from the results. It's why we've advanced so rapidly and why we can offer unique perspectives on challenges the Confederation hasn't yet encountered. The chamber fell silent as representatives absorbed the implications of humanity's proposal. Shen could see the division forming, some species intrigued by the possibilities, others threatened by the challenge to their fundamental assumptions. Admiral, High Chancellor Vorthak finally spoke, you present compelling arguments for partnership. But, partnership requires trust. How can we trust a species whose first instinct is to prepare for war? Shen looked directly at the High Chancellor's energy field. Because our first instinct isn't to prepare for war, Chancellor. It's to prepare for survival. And, survival sometimes requires protecting those who can't protect themselves. She paused, letting that statement resonate through the chamber. The Confederation represents the greatest achievement in galactic civilization, proof that diverse species can coexist peacefully. Humans want to preserve that achievement, not destroy it. But, we also recognize that preservation sometimes requires strength. We're not asking you to become warriors, Dr. Okafor added. We're offering to stand guard so you can continue being peacemakers. Let us handle the threats you hope never to encounter, while you maintain the diplomatic and cultural achievements that make the Confederation worth protecting. Counselor Zenna's ethereal form pulsed with what observers recognized as deep contemplation. You're proposing a symbiotic relationship. Humans provide security and innovation, while the Confederation provides wisdom and stability. Exactly, Shen confirmed. We're not trying to change the Confederation's fundamental nature. We're offering to complement it with capabilities you've never needed to develop. 6 months after Admiral Chen's historic address to the Confederation Council, the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The UES Harmony, humanity's first joint venture starship built with Confederation technology and human innovation, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, where the impossible was happening. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge alongside Captain Zixtal, who had requested transfer to serve as her second-in-command after witnessing humanity's potential firsthand. The Saurian scales now showed patterns of excitement rather than stress as he monitored the tactical displays. Contacts confirmed, reported Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. 37 ships of unknown configuration holding position around the fourth planet. Energy signatures match no known Confederation species. Dr. Sharma, now serving as the ship's chief science officer, looked up from her station with barely contained excitement. Admiral, we're detecting technological signatures that predate any known galactic civilization. These aren't explorers or traders. Based on their formation and the energy patterns, they're preparing for systematic planetary bombardment. Chen studied the tactical display with the cold calculation that had made her one of humanity's most effective military leaders. The alien fleet surrounded a planet that Confederation surveys had identified as home to a primitive but intelligent species barely past their equivalent of Earth's Bronze Age. Communications, any response to our hails? She asked. Negative, Admiral, replied the communications officer, a young Harmonite named Melody Sink who had volunteered for the joint crew. They're ignoring all standard Confederation greeting protocols. But, Admiral, they're transmitting on military frequencies we recognize from our own databases. Captain Zixtal's scales darkened with concern. Admiral, this confirms your species' warnings. We've encountered beings who don't recognize diplomatic immunity or peaceful intentions. Shen nodded grimly. This was exactly the scenario she had described to the Confederation Council, a hostile species that viewed peaceful overtures as weakness rather than opportunity. The Council's decision to grant humanity full membership and create joint exploration fleets had been controversial, but prescient. Analysis of their weapons systems? Chen asked. Colonel Morrison, now serving as tactical advisor, pulled up detailed scans. Plasma bombardment arrays capable of sterilizing planetary surfaces. Their target appears to be population centers rather than military installations. This isn't conquest, Admiral. It's extermination. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The peaceful species below had no way to defend themselves against orbital bombardment, and the attacking fleet showed no interest in communication or negotiation. Sir, came a voice from the communication station, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's a distress call. The main screen filled with the image of a being that resembled a cross between a reptile and a bird, with feathered scales and large, intelligent eyes that showed unmistakable terror. The creature's voice was translated by the ship's universal language matrix. Unknown ships in the sky, we are the Kithara of the third continent. Beings from the void have come to our world and spoken of cleansing fires. We do not understand their words, but we understand their intentions. If there are peaceful travelers among the stars, please help us. The transmission cut to static, replaced by energy signatures indicating the alien fleet was charging their weapons for the first bombardment wave. 37 ships against 1, observed Zixtal. Even with our technological advantages, the odds are not favorable for conventional engagement. Chen smiled with the particular expression that had made Confederation diplomats nervous during first contact.
Captain, you're thinking like the old Confederation.
You're assuming we need to fight them conventionally. She turned to address the entire bridge crew.
What do we know about species that engage in unprovoked genocide?
Dr. Okafor, now serving as the ship's xenocultural specialist, spoke thoughtfully. Based on Earth's history and theoretical models, such species typically view themselves as superior to all other life forms. They lack empathy for beings they consider inferior and interpret any resistance as confirmation of their right to eliminate threats.
Exactly, Chen confirmed.
They expect fear, submission, or desperate resistance.
They don't expect calculated strategic thinking from beings they consider primitive. Lieutenant Torres looked up from her station. Admiral, I'm detecting communication between the hostile ships.
They're coordinating bombardment patterns to maximize surface damage.
How long until they begin firing? Chen asked. Approximately 12 minutes, Admiral. Chen activated the ship's intercom. All hands, this is the Admiral.
We are about to demonstrate why the Confederation was wise to accept humanity as partners rather than attempt to contain us. What you're about to witness is controlled application of Deathworld tactical thinking for the protection of peaceful species. She turned to Morrison.
Colonel, initiate Scenario 7.
Morrison's grin matched Chen's as he began issuing orders.
All departments, implement stealth approach pattern.
Engineering, prepare for emergency power redistribution.
Weapons, load deterrent packages, not destruction loads.
Zixtal watched in fascination as the human crew executed a plan that defied everything he had learned about space combat. Instead of approaching the enemy fleet directly, the Harmony began moving through the system's asteroid field, using gravity wells and debris to mask their approach. Admiral, Melody Sync reported, the hostile fleet is hailing us.
They're demanding we withdraw or be destroyed. Put them through, Chen ordered.
The main screen displayed a being that resembled a metallic spider, with multiple eyes arranged in geometric patterns and appendages that moved with mechanical precision. When it spoke, its voice carried the cold certainty of absolute conviction.
Primitive vessel, you have entered a cleansing zone.
The species on this planet has been judged inferior and marked for elimination.
Withdraw immediately or share their fate. Chen stepped forward, her posture radiating calm authority. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force and the Galactic Confederation. You are engaged in unprovoked genocide against a peaceful species. Cease your attack immediately and withdraw from this system. The alien's multiple eyes focused on her with what appeared to be amusement. Earth?
We have no record of this species in our databases of significant civilizations.
You are unknown and, therefore, irrelevant. This is your final warning.
And this is yours, Chen replied evenly. Withdraw now, or discover why Earth species survive on Deathworlds.
The transmission ended with what sounded like metallic laughter. Admiral, Torres reported, enemy fleet is beginning bombardment sequence.
First wave will impact the planet in 3 minutes.
Implementation complete, Morrison announced. All packages deployed and synchronized. Chen watched the tactical display as 37 hostile ships prepared to destroy an entire civilization.
But she also watched 37 small objects, barely visible on sensors, drifting through space toward each enemy vessel.
What are those? Zixtal asked, pointing to the objects on screen.
Deterrent packages, Chen explained. Each one contains a precisely calculated electromagnetic pulse generator, a gravity distortion field, and a message.
A message?
The same message we sent to the Confederation during first contact: we prefer cooperation, but we're prepared for any alternative. The first bombardment beams lanced down toward the planet's surface, but they never reached their targets. As each hostile ship fired, the deterrent package attached to its hull activated, creating a localized electromagnetic storm that disrupted their weapons systems and navigation. Simultaneously, each package projected a holographic message in the attacker's own language: your weapons have been neutralized. Your ships are undamaged but immobilized. You have 1 hour to withdraw from this system before we demonstrate less peaceful alternatives. The hostile fleet found themselves drifting in space, their ships intact but completely powerless, surrounded by evidence of technology that had penetrated their defenses without being detected. Impossible, came the voice of the lead attacking ship. No known species possesses such capabilities. Chen smiled as she opened communications again. That's because you only know about species that evolved on peaceful worlds. We're from a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill us. We learned to be very good at solving problems. Dr. Sharma added her own contribution to the conversation. Your ship's systems will be restored in 1 hour, giving you time to reconsider your actions. However, our deterrent packages contain secondary systems that will activate if you attempt further hostilities against the Kithara. What secondary systems? The alien demanded. Ones that will demonstrate why humans consider your approach to be inefficient, Chen replied. On Earth, we learned that true predators don't waste energy on unnecessary destruction. They eliminate threats quickly and, precisely, without harming non-combatants. The implication was clear: humanity possessed the capability to destroy the hostile fleet entirely but chose restraint as a demonstration of superior strategic thinking. Over the next hour, the attacking fleet attempted various methods to restore their systems early, but each attempt was countered by technology they couldn't comprehend. Finally, as promised, their ships came back online, and, without a word, the entire fleet jumped to hyperspace. Admiral, Melody Sync reported with harmonics that indicated awe, we're receiving another transmission from the planetary surface. The Kithara leader appeared on screen again, but now his expression showed wonder rather than terror. Sky travelers, you have driven away the destroyers without harming them. How is this possible? Chen considered her words carefully. Because we learned long ago that true strength is knowing when not to use force. We are part of a great alliance of peaceful species who protect those who cannot protect themselves. Will you teach us to defend our world? The Kithara asked. We will teach you to join us, Chen replied. In the alliance we call the Galactic Confederation, strength serves peace, and peace makes everyone stronger. As the Harmony established orbit around the Kithara homeworld, Chen received a priority message from Confederation Prime. High Chancellor Vorthak's electromagnetic field pulsed with what she had learned to recognize as satisfaction. Admiral Chen, the Council has reviewed your mission reports. The successful protection of the Kithara without loss of life on any side demonstrates the value of human tactical innovation combined with Confederation principles. Thank you, Chancellor. The joint crew concept is working better than any of us anticipated. Indeed. We have 47 new situations requiring the unique capabilities your species brings to our alliance. It appears the galaxy has been waiting for someone to prove that strength and peace are not opposites, but partners. Chen looked around the bridge at beings from multiple species working together with efficiency that would have been impossible just months earlier. Chancellor, I think we're just getting started. As the Harmony began its next mission, word spread throughout the galaxy about the species that had turned Deathworld survival skills into tools for protecting peace. The Confederation had evolved from an organization that avoided conflict into one that could face any challenge, and the universe had become a safer place for peaceful species everywhere. Humanity had found its place among the stars not as conquerors or supplicants, but as guardians of the peace they had fought so hard to achieve.